We're locked and loaded. We're back here now. All of us back for the week. It is a playoff week. We get a playoff game against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Philadelphia. Hey, and shout out to all the people that still write paper checks. You know, I was thinking about that this morning, that there's somebody out there right now that, or last week or today, they wrote a check and they put on that thing 2024. Remember back in the day, when you used to have to write a check, somebody
That's a
put
big
it,
thing,
and now you have to remember to put 2025 on that. So shout out to the old school, old heads that are still out there writing paper checks.
I love that one. All right, 215-592-9494. The stage is set. Yesterday was fun. I mean, it had a preseason feel to it. We did the pregame show. Shout out to Tanner McKee. Played his butt off yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
And all those guys. I thought Trot Jr. played well. Shipley. They got some contributions yesterday. Oren Burks had like 20 tackles in the game. So good for those guys yesterday. But here the real games start now. They start now. They start on Saturday. And then we know 4:30 Sunday on Fox, the Eagles and the Packers, the 2 seed against the 7. All right, Hugh, I think we all do this. We wake up on a day to start a playoff week, and you got a feeling, right? You got a little gut feeling deep down. Hugh, what do you got? What are you feeling as
I'm
playoff
excited.
week starts?
I'm
All right.
excited.
All right.
And I know I'm not a dummy. I know that this is the same situation that the Green Bay Packers were in last year when they went to the playoffs. And, I'm excited for the playoffs to start. So I'm excited for them to come to town. This is a much different team. Like, they're a much different team than they were when we first saw them at the beginning of the season. To get to see them at the first round of the playoffs is pretty exciting. And then shout out to Coach Sirianni. Real quick, shout out to Coach Sirianni. Like, even though there were a lot of people, I saw somebody in the stands yesterday say they came 1,000 miles to see Saquon break the record.
Yeah.
But, boy, there were a lot of injuries yesterday in the NFL.
Zay Flowers for the Ravens. And how about Christian Watson for the Packers, who we're going to see this coming weekend? He's probably not going to play in this game.
Yeah, I mean, man, in the moment, you want to be a part of history and all this stuff. But, man, if something would have happened to anybody on this football team while we're getting ready for the playoffs, we'd have been sick yesterday. Well,
I acknowledge that. I mean, I think we all know that. Look, I wanted to see Saquon break the record. I wanted to see him play yesterday.
Me too. But when you see the injuries, man, it's like,
I know. Look, the game yesterday took on a very preseason feel, but the good news is they walk out of it healthy, right? Their starters, their most important players sat yesterday and watched, and they're ready to roll and hopefully be rested to play this coming Sunday and play really well, including the quarterback, which we'll get to, as we still haven't seen Jalen Hurts in a while now, and hopefully he'll be ready to roll on Sunday. So here's where I'm at. A couple weeks ago, said I would rather see the Commanders than the Packers. I didn't really want the Packers of the two options, but they're now the team. And I think we could realize the Packers aren't playing super great right now. They lost their last couple games. They've had some injuries. Love left the game yesterday with the hand thing. It seems like he's okay. But all right, so here come the Packers. And Hugh, you said it. They were in this spot last year. So I'll tell you, I woke up this morning very excited because my first thought was, the Eagles should win this game. Like, that's my initial gut feeling is the Eagles should win this game and move on, and we'll see how far they could go and get another playoff game at home next week, and away we go. That was my first thought when I saw the schedule and I saw the matchups. Eagles will win. Eagles are going to beat the Green Bay Packers. But Hugh, you know what happens with me, right? I start thinking too much. You start
workshopping.
Yeah, I start workshopping, and I start getting more plant-based. And I wake up, I arrive here in the studio today. I woke up excited. I arrive in the studio, and I've got some nerves. I got some nervous energy. I have some nerves for the postseason for a couple reasons. Number one, they're a 14-win team. Like, there's huge expectations. The Eagles don't win 14 games very often. We talked about it yesterday on the Countdown to Kickoff with Dave Spadera. 14 wins is a remarkable season. And when you have that many wins, you better take advantage of it. Like, this doesn't come around very often where you have all these great players, a roster this good, everyone kind of in their prime and mostly healthy heading into the postseason. So I have the nerves of they better cash in on this. I have those nerves. I have some nerves that the quarterback hasn't thrown a football more than 4 times in about a month now. That gives me some nerves. I've got some nerves about the kicker. I've got some nerves. All right, I'll admit it to start the week. I believe they're going to win the game. They should win the game. I anticipate I'm going to predict them to win the game in this weekend's. But I've got some nerves to start us off. 215-592-9494. We got Hugh Douglas with excitement. I've got a lot of nerves as the day goes on. The more I think about the matchup and the fact that, look, this isn't your typical 7 seed. If I told you before the year, Eagles get the 2 seed, they get to face the 7, you would have been like, oh, whatever. 7 seed, that's like the Broncos, right? Like a 10-7, 9-8, barely make the playoffs type of team. That's not really Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay won 11 football games. They're above the line of your normal 7 seed. So, and they came from a great division. So I don't fault them for finishing third in that division. It's an all-time great division. I've got some nerves as we start the week. Where are you? 215-592-9494. Kyle, what do you got? I know you were on Friday, and I from what I understand, you were a little plant-based on Friday?
Yeah, and I'm still a little bit nothing changed after beating the Giants, but just in terms of the whole NFC playoffs in general, it's not going to be easy at all. I mean, this is one of the more brutal paths that we've ever seen for a team in the NFC to have to get to the Super Bowl. It's the exact opposite in 2022. Everything's going to have to be earned. So just in terms of that, I'm nervous. Like, from an Eagles perspective, though, our quarterback has played 12 snaps in an entire month.
Yep.
So I'm quite nervous about the fact that Jalen Hurts might come out a little bit rusty when you consider the fact that we've had slow starts all season long. It did feel like they were finally capturing those fast starts on offense. They got off to a hot start against the Steelers and then Washington, and then he got hurt. So I'm just a little bit worried that all of that's going to be lost, and he might take a little bit of time to build that up. And then just like in games like these in the postseason where the margin for error is so slim, we have to face the reality that we have a kicker problem right now. Jake Elliott's still not good. So if this comes down to a game where we, it's a 2-point, 3-point game,
leave it up to the kicker.
Yeah, I don't love that prospect. So I know it hurts to be plant-based like this today because this is supposed to be exciting. I'm just a little bit nervous.
Look, I have excitement, and I believe that like my first thought is they're going to win the game. But I have some nerves heading through the postseason. 215-592-9494. That's how you hop aboard on a snowy Monday as we start off playoff week. We hope everyone out there had a great New Year and Christmas and all that, and we're excited to be back. All right, before we go to the phone lines, can we hear from Ray Didinger this morning?
Ray Diddy.
Because sometimes, listen, over the years we've all heard Ray so many times, and you kind of listen to what Ray has to say about a matchup, and I always wonder, like, all right, am I kind of thinking like Ray, or is Ray totally on the opposite side of me? And then sometimes I'll rethink, what I'm thinking, and what did I miss? Because Ray a lot of times is spot on with these things. Here's Ray Didinger this morning. And listen to him. I mean, I don't want to call Ray plant-based, but it sounded Ray he's a little plant-based. Here's Ray this morning.
The scenario to me is a little too familiar. It makes me nervous because last year Green Bay is exactly the same position. They're a wild card team going on the road to play the NFC East champs as pretty big underdogs, and we all know what they did to the Cowboys.
Well, Hugh, we do. They went to Dallas last year.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
They crushed them. I mean, that game was over in, 15 real minutes. I mean, it felt like, oh, my goodness, they just blew the doors off them. And we can laugh now because we always laugh at the Cowboys. But that Cowboys team looked good entering the postseason, right? They won the division. They took the division from the Eagles. They were playing well down the stretch. And then they just got knocked off. I mean, it's the playoffs. You've lived this. In these one-game scenarios, like, you got to be on your game fast, otherwise you're in trouble.
There's no question about that, but I think in this situation, the best case scenario is we have information on our side, and history tells you that you cannot overlook this Green Bay team.
Yep.
I think that going into that game last year, that for whatever reason, being the seeding that they were, the Dallas Cowboys overlooked the Green Bay Packers and they got trounced. I don't think Coach Sirianni is going to do that. We talk a lot about Coach Sirianni and his preparation and all this other good stuff. But the one thing that I definitely don't think this team is going to be is overconfident when it comes to playing the Green Bay Packers. I think the fan base can be, because a lot of people were I saw some memes last night where people were talking about they ran into some Green Bay Packer fans and they were talking about they're afraid of us and all this other stuff. That's the fans' perspective. The players' perspective is something totally different. They're looking at it. I don't know what's going to happen with their quarterback, but I can tell you this. They're going into a similar situation that they were in last year as far as the playoff picture is concerned. Yep. And not only that, they're playing against a team that, I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers now, that they feel that they probably let one get away from them.
Week 1 in Brazil, yeah.
So, I don't think that we're in a position. I'm confident about this game. I'm excited about this game. But I think it would be foolish to go into this game thinking that the Green Bay Packers are going to lay down.
Well, no, they're not going to. I mean, and I think that's a good point you bring up here, that last year they kind of snuck up. Maybe the Cowboys didn't realize what they were going up against. Yeah. I mean, they got blitzed, and it was like, oh my God, the game's over in the first quarter. The Eagles shouldn't feel that way. one, Green Bay has now done this, right? They went on a playoff run last year, so we know they're capable. And we've played them already this season. So that I think that should help. 215-592-9494. All right, what's the feeling today as we kick off a playoff week? There's a lot to talk about here between the injuries, the matchup, and a rematch of what we saw in Week 1. Eagles, Packers, 4:30 on Sunday. Nerves, excitement, what are you feeling this morning as the Eagles complete a 14-3 regular season? It really was a remarkable season. They only lost one time after the month of September.